So the number one thing I see about truck campers is it's hard to put that onto that, and how long does it take? Well, I'll tell you right now, it's not very hard, but it does take a little bit more time. We're gonna show you right now, and we're gonna start the timer and see just how long it takes to do this. We're gonna unload it first, and then load it back on. First thing I'm gonna do while I take my turnbuckles off is start raising the camper. Lowering the legs, raising the camper. After we take our turnbuckles off and we start dropping our legs down to lift the camper, we'll place our blocks or whatever you're using under here. Sometimes you don't have to use anything, but I'm on uneven gravel, so I am going to use blocks. So start placing those around the four corners. Keep on going. Hands down, the most time-consuming part of this whole process. Once I start to see a gap forming on the back here, the camper's up high enough, we can then disconnect our lights and pull the truck out. Lights are disconnected. Do one final walk around, just make sure everything looks all right so that we can pull the truck forward. Make sure there's nothing hanging on still. Check under the camper. Everything looks good. All right, we're gonna pull the truck out. All right, the truck is out from underneath the truck camper. Now to do this accurately on the load, we're gonna get out so we're not straight on the truck camper. I feel like that would be cheating if I just backed it right back under there. So did some turns there, and now we are no longer centered with the truck camper. We're gonna go drop it down. So that is the unload. Got the remote. We are at 4 minutes and 28 seconds. So if I just did this at a campground and I was gonna be staying in this, part of the unload would be to bring the camper back down for stability purpose, safety purpose. We don't wanna keep the jacks completely extended while we're in there. So that'd be the last thing to do, is lower the camper. So, took us 6 minutes, 10 seconds to get our camper off the truck. That was fully extending the jacks from the travel position, lifting it off, bringing it back down. That would be typically the position I would camp in this camper. If you're on an uneven side or anything, you got enough travel on each leg, you can even everything out. So I don't go completely down, except there's about 6 inches left on the jack travel. So at that point, the rest is slides out, stairs out, and you're pretty much ready to go with the truck camper. So 6 minutes, 10 seconds, not that long. It's gonna be a little longer to hook it back up because we do, again, have to get the truck under there straight. That's probably the second longest process of all this. It's a lot easier with the flatbed than it is a regular pickup truck bed because you don't have the wheel wells. They don't distort your perception of what is straight. You got a flat rail down the side and you can keep the truck pretty straight going under there. So that's gonna be the next thing we do. We'll reset our timer. Start lifting this back up, then we're gonna put it back on the truck. Now while you're doing that, while your jacks are going down. You can get back in your truck, kind of back it up to the camper so you can see where your height's at, how much farther you need to go before it clears the bed of your truck. So as I back up, this isn't like the actual backup. This is just me getting close to the camper so that I can see if it's high enough to go under. I'm gonna try to go back as straight as possible. Going off the flatbed theory on this, it's me saying it's easier because you have that straight bedside as opposed to a wheel well. It's much easier to follow as you are backing up to the camper. So I think we're pretty close there. Let's go see where the camper's at. I think we're clear. We're gonna back up a little bit more and double check. I also think it's easier to put your window down and look out and back. You don't get the mirrors can sometimes distort what you think is straight on either side. You'll think you're straight on this side, look at the other side in the mirror and realize you're not straight at all. So if you just look out the window, look straight back at the camper, I think it gives you a much better idea of what's actually straight. Alright, so I will come back till I make contact with the camper. And then I go into drive. I was too far, but I like to come forward. It's like a ½ an inch just to get those rubber stops off of the fuel tank I got in the bed. So kind of go around and check, make sure your gaps. Typically this would be the gap between the bed rail. I got the gap between the camper and the cabinets there. It is farther over on the passenger side. I can tell just by checking that gap. Yes. So it needs to go over the driver's side a little bit. This is a real world experience right here of hooking up a truck camper. It was straight though, but needs to go over. So we can pull out about to the front. I only need to come off that other side about an inch, so, and then our gap will be about the same. So I'm going to gain an inch over there, lose an inch on the other side, and we'll be good. Check our gap again. That's where we need to be right there. That is where we need to be. Yep, that'll do. And see, I like to keep just a little gap right there off my fuel tank so it's not rubbing the whole time. So at that point, we're going to drop the camper back down if I can find the remote. Also, I like to hook my lights up before I drop the camper down. Make sure that wire's clear and it's not underneath the camper. I'll pull it out and just keep it outside of the bed until I get the camper all the way down and hooked up. So hooked up there, and we're going to start running her down. Always like to make sure that the camper hits the bed of the truck as flat and even as possible also. Don't want it coming down on a real it's slanted sideways. I don't want it coming down, putting all that pressure on one corner of the camper. I like to try to flatten it out as much as possible. It's easy in this situation because I'm on flat ground. All right, our jacks are up. Turnbuckles are a little off every time it seems like you hook up, because the camper's never perfectly in the same position. Put that on there. Put your pin in. Put her back on. Read the, these are spring-loaded turnbuckles. It says right here you have to use them or else you void the warranty. It gives, there's directions when you get these. It tells you how much of the hole should be exposed, I think, or how much the hole should overlap before you start feeling pressure. So make sure you read that before you start. You don't want to over tight. You don't want these to be too tight. And I really do like the spring-loaded turnbuckles because I feel like if you were not using spring-loaded turnbuckles and you were just using buy at Lowe's essentially, and you notice in the mirror how much this thing moves while you're driving down the road. So I wouldn't want it to not have some give to it. So just my 2 cents. Get our other buckles on. See, that was probably too tight. Give it a few twists. That's better. Make sure we put our pins in. We're gonna tuck our wire in so that's not hanging out the side. Last thing we gotta do is pick up our blocks and we are fully loaded. Just how long that took us. Okay, so loading, it took me 11 minutes to get that on there. I had to reset the truck once because I was crooked. Needed to come over a little bit, which we did. So that was 2 attempts at backing the truck up, running the jacks fully down, fully down and then fully up. Yes, that's correct. From our camping position with the camper. So there you have it. Not that complicated of a process, just about the same time as hooking up any other camper. I mean, between leveling a traditional camper, travel trailer or toy hauler, this is much easier to level. Well, I guess if you have the hydraulic 6-point leveling system, it's pretty easy on a toy hauler or a 5th wheel. But pretty easy to level on this, pretty easy to load. It does take some time to get used to backing the truck under there and getting everything straight. So that is how I unload our truck camper, and that is exactly how long it took me. A little over 6 minutes to unload and a little over 11 minutes to load. So hope that helped some of you guys. I've seen plenty of comments saying you're held up on getting one of these because you don't know how hard and easy it is to load. So there you go. Not that difficult. Take your time. Do your research if you need to. And that's a wrap. Thanks for watching, guys.